Welcome to Sparring Sessions. My name's Dax, and we're here today to break down the first 5 weeks of Dana White Contender Series. I'm not doing this alone, though. I have two guests who, well, you've seen one of them before the others, a new face, um, two regional prospect enthusiasts. First up, we're going to go with Canadian Brennan here since we already have another Brennan. Canadian Brennan, how you doing today?
I'm doing great. Yourself?
Oh, doing quite fine. And Mr. Kugler in the well, I'm not going to say the nicer polo. The polo with the crisper
Damn,
crisper neckline. How you doing today?
I'm doing fantastic.
Yeah,
Thanks for
Mr.
asking.
Prospects himself. Um, so yeah, we figured we didn't want to just leave you without anything for Dana White Contender Series. You know I'm a prospects guy, a regional MMA guy, and brought in two other guys who I know who also are. This week we're just going to go through the first 5 weeks of Dana White Contender Series. We have all the matchups announced. Hopefully it doesn't change too much. Contender Series is one of those things where the guys really try to make it. You know, they'll if they need to do a little extreme weight cut or fight through an illness. Typically they're not pulling out of fights until they're in the UFC. But um, so we're not going to go fight by fight. Uh, some of us aren't going to go week by week. Some of us are, and just give our five favorite prospects. Five guys who, or girls who most impressed us from the first 5 weeks, and we're excited to see fight, and then potentially, I'm hoping win. Although I got an idea that at least one of these fights, we're going to have some converging prospects going head to head. So, Brendan, you are the guest. Cougs is the MMA prospect is a vet here at this point. So, let's hear your first five.
Perfect. So my first one is for week number one. We have a local legend here in Vancouver, where I'm from BFL, Bradley De Silva. He's
Yeah.
going up against the Aussie George Mangos. Um, George Mangos undefeated. Bradley 7-1. But what really stands out for me with Bradley is how complete his game is. He's got wicked striking. He's got the ground game, and I think that's what's going to be the difference maker here. Um, in his last few fights, Bradley De Silva has shown excellent back takes. There's been some pretty slick submissions, particularly the rear naked choke. When you
Yep.
look at Mangos, while he's tough and undefeated, I don't think he's faced anybody near De Silva's level. So the bet that I like here is Bradley De Silva by submission. I think it'll be in the later rounds, but you'll probably get it. It is live odds, but it'll probably be about a plus 300.
Hmm.
Patient early, go break the guys down. And while Mangos is definitely going to try and pressure him on the feet, I think if it goes down to the ground, that's all Bradley De Silva.
I agree. I'm not going to repeat it because Cougs, MMA prospects, and I have we've actually met Bradley De Silva. He's been on the show a few times. He's actually a MMA nerd. He knew some things about some fighters that even I didn't know. So had to jump in there. We're not going to repeat, but Bradley, you're on all of our lists, I'm going to guess. So please continue, Brendan.
Yeah, that,
Awesome.
that I mean that fight in general is the equivalent. In contender series, there's really three categories. There's your A prospects that the UFC will match against guys that aren't so good. You have your B prospects, which are guys that have proven it to some degree, but the UFC want to see if they're the real deal or not. And you have the C, which are basically the cannon fodder that gets fed to the A's, right? But in this case, we've got two A's that are up against each other. I mean, Riley De
Yeah.
Silva's 2024 Prospect of the Year versus George Mango's 2024 Prospect of the Year. It's like the same thing that we saw last year when Antoine Ho fought Lonair Kavanaugh, where it was just two guys
Yeah.
that were like incredible prospects that they had fight each other right off of week one. But I do agree with the sentiment that Riley De Silva with the veteran edge, and I also think he's just
Yeah.
a tad bit more, just maybe 1% better all around as well.
Well, he was on sparring sessions. That automatically jumps your game up 10%. Duh. All right,
Absolutely.
Brendan,
Yeah,
the
very
floor is
excited
yours.
about
Huge.
Week two, I think, right?
Yeah, week two. So for this fight, it's Jose Delano versus Manuel Exposito. So this is a headliner. It's a featherweight clash. It's going to be very exciting. I've got to say, though, I think Delano is just slightly a more polished fighter here. He's 15-3. He fights with a ton of composure, and he's a well-rounded Brazilian style fighter. He's got the slick transitions. He's got the good cardio, solid striking, intelligent grappling. Now, Exposito, though, he's dangerous, and he can end the fight in a flash, but I just don't see him overworking Delano over 3 rounds. I think the smart pick here is for Delano to win, either money line or by decision if you want value. But that being said, Delano, he's a smart fighter, not reckless. I think he'll neutralize Exposito and just bank his rounds.
Yep. I like it. Week 3. I've already lost track. Week 3.
Yeah, we're on week 3. So for this one, it's another main event. Vitor Costa versus Ryan Gondra. This is one that everybody's been talking about. They're light heavyweights, and I think this is arguably the most hyped matchup so far, and it's very easy to see why. Costa, 8-1. He fights like a guy who's ready to be in the UFC. He's got clean striking, great balance, solid takedown defense, and I think he's the real deal. Gondra's no joke, though, at 7-1. He tends to rely on the forward pressure and grit, and that is dangerous against someone like Costa who can pick you apart. Now, I'm taking Vitor Costa by TKO. I think it'll be another later finish. He's got that sneaky, precise power once he finds his rhythm. I don't think Gondra's going to have the answers. Odd-wise, I think Costa by TKO or KO will give you the plus money. I think that's the value. You can play it safe with the money line, but that's where I'm leaning.
Okay.
Yeah, a lot of great fighters.
Heavyweights.
A lot of great fighters have come out of Jungle Fight. And, I think Vitor Costa will just be the next one to kind of come out of that promotion. I think Charles Oliveira came from Jungle Fight, actually.
The GOAT? What do you mean?
Right.
All right.
Number 4. Yeah, so for this one, I got Jack Congdon versus Jean-Paul Lebanoyani. I might have butchered that last name. This one is a battle of pace versus polish. Congdon, 7-1. He just fights like a pro. He's methodical, technical. He doesn't take the unnecessary risks. His takedown defense is solid. He mixes his strikes well, and I think that maturity is going to be the difference here. I'm going to say just Jean Paul because it'll be easier. I don't want to just keep butchering his last name. He's aggressive, but he's a little bit raw. I can see Congdon using his footwork and jab to just stay out of danger and score consistently. I think we're going to get Congdon by decision. He's clean, controlled, and composed, and that prop should pay pretty nicely. It's looking like it's live odds again, but it's about plus 200 or better.
It's an interesting one. I believe, correct me if I'm wrong, I believe we were there live for Jack Congdon's last fight, Mr. Prospects. Round 1 sub, if I remember correctly, back in January.
He fought Ali Zebian. That wasn't his last fight. His last fight was against some random can, what was his name, Zach Thomas or something. I was at that.
He got another one in.
I was there a month ago. Saw that. That was a crazy fight. It was a crazy fight. But anyways, I'll just leave my comment for later. That's an interesting. I'm putting a pin in that one.
I figured you were going to have one there, Coots. All right, Brendan, round us out.
All right, this last one, it's the big boys. We got Guilherme Pat versus Anthony Guaraccio. So this one is going to be very exciting. It's a heavyweight showdown. Both guys are undefeated. I think Pat stands out physically and technically. He's just a little bit bigger. He's a little bit faster and a lot more calculated. Now, Guaraccio's best shot, I think, is landing something big early. But Pat keeps a high guard. He pressures well, and he rips body shots that slow opponents down quick. Now, my play here is going to be Pat to win in round 1. Power is real. He tends to start strong. You'll likely find that prop north of about plus 300, and I love it for heavyweight with the tools that he's got. He's a very exciting fighter.
Yeah,
I like it.
Definitely.
I like it. I might have something. Go ahead.
If you're going to talk about Guaraccio later, I'll save it. Fun fact: he does not have a gym.
Really?
He fights out of his garage.
Interesting.
He trains out of his garage.
I did not know that. Maybe I'll bring that into play later.
It's kind of
I don't think
badass.
he has an affiliated gym. I think he bounces around, but like the whole big thing with him is that he trains out of his garage. That's like what he reps.
He has, maybe, it looks like he's affiliated, at least he's posted with Gracie Tampa, which I've been there, I've rolled there. Decent gym. They
I've
do
seen
not
him
have good AC.
post. I've seen him post with like at gyms, but
Yeah.
everyone who's ever talked about him says the same thing, and that's that he like he considers himself affiliated with his own home gym, which I think is Tampa. I
Okay.
believe he's a Tampa guy.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I was just saying he was actually he's posting with one of the ones I used to roll at, and well, you know what? I'm gonna save it because I'm not up next, Mr. Prospects.
Yeah.
Uh, you are.
No, you
I'm
can
blanking.
go.
You're on the clock. There we go.
You sure?
5 prospects from the first 5 weeks. Let's hear it.
Okay, all right. Well, I had a couple that matched with Brendan, so I am gonna do a little curveball and
Okay.
go in another direction. So week one, I will take I'll take the main event there, Boafia versus Nemia Santana. I like Boafia a lot. He's a French fighter, came out of Aries FC. Been watching him since, yeah, I'm just looking. He fought, yeah, at Aries 16 back in 2023. He's one of my first posts, actually.
Oh, really?
Kid's got some striking that's really off the charts. Kind of unproven. He fought against Pauline Bagai, which was, not really a great fighter to go against. He went the distance. It was a decent fight, but his striking is really high level. We talked about the A prospects versus the C's.
Yep.
C Santana is kind of that. I mean, completely unproven, but look, in the Contender Series, you never know. We saw it last year with what was her name? Shannon. What was the Venezuelan girl there? That
Oh,
Eunice Duban. She
yeah,
knocked
yeah.
out Shannon Clark, and she was a plus 800. So you never know. You never know with Contender Series, but in my opinion, Boafia should be a big favorite. Light heavyweight, gets an easy contract. I think that's pretty likely.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah, week two. Main event's interesting. Jose Delano, I think, shouldn't be fighting on Contender Series. He's a UFC fighter, without a doubt. But I won't repeat anything there. I'll go with the British man, Lewis Lee Scott. Lewis Lee Scott was supposed to be on Contender Series last year. He was technically signed to Contender Series, but Aries FC has a bit of a reputation of not having releases and did
No.
not allow him out of the contract. That's the rumor, was that he was not allowed, he was not released from his contract. They made him fight
They
it out.
had that. They had that with that heavyweight who wanted to go to PFL, right?
Yeah, well, they had it with a few guys. They had it with Baki, right? So that guy Shamsudinov, who fought who's the French guy there?
I know who you're talking about. Solo,
Doumbé.
right?
He
Axel
fought
Solo?
Cedric Doumbé.
Oh, Doumbé.
Right, so he fought Cedric Doumbé in PFL, and then Aries enforced his contract and made him go back to Aries, fight some random guy, and then he was released from and went to PFL. But anyways, so yeah, Lewis Lee Scott, he fought with APFC, he fought with Aries mostly. He had a kind of crazy submission win on his second week. He takes on Kaushik Sai-Kumar, who frankly, I don't think is Contender Series worthy. At least he hasn't proven it yet. He is 5-0, but his last fight on CFFC, I don't even think he won. Frankly, he fought Adamu Issa, I think was his name. But I don't even think he won that fight. I remember watching it on CFFC and thinking, yeah, I don't know, I think that goes the other way. But regardless, his grappling is off the charts, but he has a hard time bringing the fight to the mats, and I think Lewis Lee Scott just completely exposes that. That's an early finish.
Okay.
Let's move on to week 3. I think is that when so Marcio Barboza is the guy I'm looking at. I think Yakyaev and Marcio Barboza are probably the two guys that you should be watching on that card. But I'll focus on Marcio Barboza because in my opinion he's one of my favorite fighters. Barboza probably should have been on Contender Series last year or even the year prior. He's one of the most exciting fighters I've ever watched on the regional scenes. His striking is crazy. He has all these first-round finishes. He's never put on a bad fight. He's one of the LFA's best fighters. They put him up against Damon Wilson, who's a Cage Warriors fighter, who's pretty unproven. I don't think DWCS ready, but you know what? Let's see where this fight goes. But I think this is a pretty easy contract for Tico.
Okay. I could.
Week 4. So, very interesting observation, Brendan, that you say Jack Condon. So, I've seen Jack Condon 3 times live. There's a few things, but so it's interesting. There's a few things with Jack Condon. He has no grappling game. We saw that get exposed big time. He fought John Piersma, who frankly is a UFC fighter, should be a UFC fighter, but he fought John Piersma. He got totally mauled. It was like 4 rounds of just total domination. So his ground game is questionable at best. And he's fighting, JP Labosniani, I think that's how you say it or something. He's got like no ground game. Well, no, sorry. JP has a ground game, a decent ground game. The striking is his best suit, but I think he's a very slow striker, frankly. He's 170 pounds, and honestly, when I watch him, I feel like I'm more so watching a middleweight or light heavyweight, because I just don't really think he's that fast. That being said, JP Labosniani is not some crazy prospect, so I don't know. I'm kind of a toss-up on that fight. I don't know where that goes. Congdon showed in his last fight he's got a good gas tank. So we'll see. We'll see. I'd say I'm 50-50 on that. But the fight I want to focus on is not the guy that everyone keeps talking about. It's the guy he's facing. Tommy McMillan is the guy that everyone will not stop talking about, and it's solely because he fights in Sean O'Malley's camp. It is extremely annoying. But anyways, so Tommy Gunn, Tommy Mafia Gunn, he's got, big following, trains with that camp, trains with Sean O'Malley, so naturally, a lot of hype behind him. He's good. There's no doubt he's good. He's fought a lot of questionable competition. I don't know if he's quite proven where he stands. He's going up against a guy that I have been a big fan of for quite a while now. That's David Mgoyan. That's the guy that I want to focus on. David Mgoyan, he's tough. He fought with Tough Enough, fought with CFFC, 21 years old. He's proven he can kind of take the fight anywhere. We saw Sean O'Malley struggle with grappling. I've seen McMillan. I don't think he struggles with grappling, but he also hasn't really fought anybody that has any sort of wrestling credentials. So I think that's going to be a huge step up in competition. I think that style is going to be bad for McMillan. I think Mgoyan probably gets that done in a submission win or some sort of decision that just is pretty one-way traffic. But we'll see.
I agree with that. Like, I'd hate to see a hype train derailed like that because he is an exciting fighter. But you're right, the level of competition that Tommy Gunn has been fighting is just, it's not there. It's not where it needs to be for him to, gain that experience needed to succeed, even at the Dana White's Contender Series level.
Yeah.
But we'll see.
Yeah.
I love being proven wrong.
It's a fight. Anything can happen. I will say some of these guys, it might be one of those fights where, they want Sugar Sean cage side. They want, maybe not Mario Baptiste cage side, but, they want these guys cage side. If they do get a KO, at any point a win these days is pretty much a contract. But, potentially it's the B. Joe Piper of the season, right?
Yeah.
I could see Tommy McMillan being one of those guys for Dana White, especially week 4, decently early on. There's a reason I didn't pick David here, and it is because of Tommy. I'm not picking Tommy, but you gotta look at the matchmaking sometimes. Please continue. I believe week 5.
Yeah, it's a stacked fight. That's just that's a great fight they put. But I really wish they would have honestly put 2 of them against Steve prospects, frankly. But
yeah,
whatever. Sometimes that's what the UFC does. 5th and final week. I was split between Larry and Douglas and the co-main event. I love Larry and Douglas, but I love Chanel Dyer even more. I think Chanel Dyer is the equivalent, has the potential of like a Dakota Ditcheva, depending on how they matchmake her, how they develop her, and how she develops as a fighter. But I think Chanel Dyer is the next star. I could not believe that the UFC was able to scoop her up. Those PFL contracts tend to be quite restrictive, especially with the European fighters. But Chanel Dyer's fought in PFL. I can't remember if she won the European competition. I think she did. She fought with Aries FC. She fought with a number of, I think FCC, which is your English promotion. Her striking is off the charts. I think she's one of those fighters that can really contend in the flyweight division. Again, depending on how she develops. But I see glimpses of like a Ditcheva, who knows, ceiling maybe like a Valentina type striking capability. So I think she runs through Foro. I think this is a huge step in competition for Foro, but Dyer's got some pretty incredible KOs on her resume, and would definitely recommend digging it up if you can find it.
Yeah, she was going to be one of mine, not anymore, but I watched her grappling match. She grappled a nobody who has lost. Let me put it this way: 2 of her losses, she only has 4 losses on Tapology, all in grappling. 2 of them are to Chanel Dyer and Molly McCann. So it's like, we're not talking Khabib here, but still, shows she's at least focusing on her grappling a little bit. And she, from what I could see of the PFL fights, they don't have stats like they do in UFC. Takedown defense has been improving. That's all I'm going to say.
Yeah.
So that's 5. We'll do kind of a recap. Maybe we'll choose our favorite at the end here, but one for each week from you two. Unfortunately, the 2 of you chose a lot of mine, so I'm not going to be able to go week for week. I am going to give you all 5. Or 5 new ones, I guess. First one, fighting on week 2 versus Cam Rouston. These are 2 guys. I'd say this is kind of like an A versus B prospect fight here. I do like your A, B, and C methodology here. John Kuhneman. I like grappling. I'm a grappling guy. Cam Rouston is a very good fighter. He got brought in short notice against Therese Finney. That was the second time, right? That was the one that Dana wasn't really impressed by.
The first time.
No, I thought the first time was...
Oh, you're saying...
Yeah, first time was Yuri.
First time was
Finney.
Kirimparov, second time was Rouston, third time was some Middle Eastern guy. I can't remember.
Some bum, yeah. But, this is a guy who has lost to Torres Finney and Jacob Malkoun, are 2 of his 3 professional losses. Rouston, I'm talking about, not Kuhneman. And you look at Kuhneman, round one, all the way down. Round 2 is his latest and only non-first round win. And most of it is he's got a lot of submissions. I love an arm triangle, I love Dars. But he also has... granted, against nobodies, he has some quick knockouts too on feet, and then some ground and pound. I think he's just going to take down Cam Rouston here, probably submit him pretty quick. And he's a Jackson Wink guy, also trained with Elevation. Corey Sandhagen. I think they have Sepe there. This is a middleweight who can grapple and who has subs, and that can take him pretty far. And I think it's going to take.
Interesting. Yeah, Kuhneman is one of those guys. He fought 7 times last year? Something insane.
Wow.
I'll count it up. You talk.
He fought 7 or 8 times last year. He is one of those guys. He hasn't beaten anybody good, right? All the competition has been bad. But if you watch those wins and how he wins those fights, grappling is a big part of it. Rouston clearly has an issue. I mean, given his height, he's 6'5", 6'6". Anytime you get a guy that's that tall, regardless, they're going to struggle with takedown defense. And then combine that with Kuhneman trains at a great gym. I would tend to favor Kuhneman more so than Rouston. Rouston has some great striking. I don't know what Kuhneman's chin is like. Totally unproven. Not a lot of film to watch on him, but I do like Kuhneman's odds there, and I think there's a clear path to victory.
I'm a big fan. You're going to see, little spoiler, you're going to see a few grapplers here on my list. Next up is Manuel Souza. Souza? No idea. 12-1. He is fighting on week 3. Yeah, week 3 against Christian Perez at lightweight. He's not an A prospect, don't get me wrong. He has a loss recently to Archie Colgan last year in Bellator. But he has a few good wins in Bellator, in PFL Challengers Series, CFFC. He won a belt in, this is Oh wait, no, I thought that was Samurai Fight House. SFT, um, got a lot of fights, got a few amateur fights. He's an exciting guy. He's also a guy who I don't want to call him a grappler directly because he won't go for it and like kind of until he gets hit a little bit on the feet. He does want to strike at first. Um, and I watched Perez here because I was familiar with Souza. Perez is nothing special. A lot of quick wins against nobodies and Combate Global. I don't value Combate high at all. And
Not anymore.
the other reason I'm talking about this guy, he has a win. Granted, what are we at now? 6 years ago, yeah, but he is the only professional loss for one Mauricio Hufi. Um, and you know the UFC loves to talk about the guys who beat the whatever super prospects before they were in the UFC. And I think they might do that here, planting a seed maybe for an event. I don't think this guy, Manuel Souza, the top 15 fighter like Hufi is, but they love to plant seeds and see what fruits, and he's an exciting guy, so he may be a B prospect, but I think he wins here against Christian Perez, and I think he'll have some exciting fights in the UFC. And losing to Archie Colgan, that's not bad. Archie Colgan's a really good fighter.
It's an interesting pick, Dex. I mean, a lot of people seem to like Perez more than a lot of other guys. He's kind of the guy that everyone's kind of hyping up. I mean, it's him and the other Combate guy. I can't remember. I think he's fighting week 1. But anyways,
I know who you're talking about. I don't know the name handy. I watched Perez in, it's how much you take the karate combat fight, and then it's how much he just doesn't have. He has a lot of fights, but he doesn't have the level of opponent.
yeah.
Especially for the Latin American regional scene, where I'm like, yeah, this guy, he's going to be a big favorite. Don't get me wrong, Perez, but it's just not to the point where I'm like, this guy is going to be somebody versus Tim Wild, Lucas Barros, a few of these other guys. If you know LFA, if you know like mid-level belt, low-level Bellator guys, you know a few of the guys he's beaten, and
Yeah.
I more picked him here because of the excitement factor.
Yeah, I haven't
Now-
watched much on Souza, so yeah, I should.
Well, he's a good watch, I'll tell you that. Now, fighting on week 4. Yeah, week 4 versus Frank Da Silva Castro. We mentioned him already, Antoine Ho. This is an A prospect. This is exciting of the exciting. He got knocked out on Contender Series last year by Loner Kavanaugh. And flyweight, not a lot of knockout artists at flyweight, not a lot of guys who are going to test that chin. So you got to wonder about the chin. You do have to wonder about the chin. But Frank Silva, I mean, you want to talk about guys. I haven't actually watched tape on him, granted.
So
But just looking at the record alone, he, not that long ago, a year ago, second to last fight, he drew against a 6-6 guy. And the other guys he's fighting, how many? One guy with a winning record, 2 guys with winning records. I mean, it's
Yeah.
like
creative.
they
fight.
brought in Ho. They were like, "Oh, sorry, Ho. We did you dirty. We wanted to put on a super contender prospect fight. Here's a bomb." And I think I love Ho's grappling. That's kind of what I you saw the knee bar clip from a few years ago. That's where I first got to know him, and then he's just developed his striking since. I mean, he had a 16-second knockout in March to get back on the Contender Series, and there's not much more to say here. This would be an incredible, shocking upset. If he wins and they don't sign him, I would be incredibly shocked. This is probably top 3 prospects of the season, in my opinion. Next up, I'm going to go to another guy who I just kind of like. He's not going to do too much, but Theo Haig is the name. Middleweight, fighting on week 4, excuse me, against Cezary Olszewczuk. I couldn't confirm it, but I'm pretty sure this is Mikhail's
It is. This is brother.
younger brother. Okay,
Yeah,
25
they were
years
here.
old. Um, and you look at the Ochak's record. He has a win over Tom Breeze, although in 2025 I'm not rating that too highly. And he's really been around. He has an extensive amateur career, extensive 15-3 as a pro, but um, he does not have takedown defense. He has good. He's good on the bottom. I don't think this is going to be a finish, but I think Theo Haig. Uh, he's 6-0. All six are submissions. I love some of the takedowns he's hit. I don't know what fight it was specifically, but I saw a clip of him hitting an outside. I don't know the Japanese. If you're a jiu-jitsu nerd, judo nerd, don't come at me here. But the outside hip throw, I can do it. I just can't. I don't know the name of it. I saw him hit a few standard doubles, and yeah, he can use the hands a little bit, but those submissions. I told you I like my grapplers, and Theo Haig is just 6-0, mostly round one submissions, like early, which is not something you see all the time. Cougs, you do a little smile. Are you a Haig hater? As we're
No,
gonna
I'm not. I'm
grow to
definitely
call?
not a hater. I'm definitely not a Haig hater, but I do
Okay.
not like him in that matchup, man. I think
Really? Please, please.
Look, I think anytime you're fighting against a guy that's had 18 fights, and I mean, I know he's not like beating world class. I mean, well, he's beating significantly better talent than Haig.
Yeah.
You're probably right about the grappling aspect of it, but you know something when you watch a guy who's fought. I mean, I haven't watched his older fights. I know he's gone to decision. I don't know what those fights look like, but 18 fights in, he trains with fighting nerds. His brother's in the UFC. Again, I haven't watched a ton of film other than his last couple fights where he knocked out Tom Breeze, which is pretty cool.
He did.
Theo Haig's a good fighter, but I think this is a experience level issue that if this fight goes any further than a couple rounds, I think it's definitely Alex Seychuk's win to have.
I do agree with you that he will fade the longer it goes. That being said, I got a feeling here. He's an exciting grappler. He can shoot a takedown, which Tom Breeze did not do. And
Yeah.
you know, you guys took. Well, Brendan took 3 of my original prospects. I floated back out. Cougs took 3 more.
Yeah.
I'm not saying we're scraping the bottom of the barrel here, because I do like Theo Haig, but
He's a fun fighter.
he
I
was
think-
not on my original list,
Yeah,
and I
if
have
he-
watched some tape.
If he won and got signed to the UFC, he'd be a fun fighter. Like he's like a, I don't even know. He reminds me of like a, I don't know, like who's that?
Forrest Penny.
That Nick Klein kid, right? Like that. Like
Klein.
he's like a fun fighter that like I don't expect anything special from him, but he'll put on a good fight.
Let me ask you this: if he wins, say he submits Ochachuk round 1, do you think they just do him versus Mikhail Ochachuk in the UFC, like first fight debut? They got it right. Storyline
That'd be
there.
pretty badass. I don't know, man. The UFC, man, with stuff like that, they like to wait like 2-3 years after the fact before doing stuff like
Yeah,
that.
right.
You know, Brendan
No
Allen,
fun.
Marvin Vittori, and all that, right?
Don't even get me started on that. All right, and then last guy, we talked about him earlier, Anthony Horacio. I'm gonna go with real Italian guy. He's a brawler. That's all there is. This is a B prospect, maybe a C prospect. I thought it was too soon for him to get the heavyweight title shot in CFFC. Granted, he won that quickly. I think it's too soon for Contender Series, but listen, he's a guy. He's a big guy. He's not the biggest for heavyweight, but he can brawl. He can hit. He can knock out Justin Tafa. You know. Dearmate Pat, also a very good guy. Also a guy who has some power, but he doesn't have that one-punch knockout power that I think. If he does go in there and brawl with Guaracio, I think Guaracio's just going to get it done. we haven't really seen him defend takedowns. You can hope that he's training at a Gracie Jiu-Jitsu gym. Well, he's posting at a Gracie Jiu-Jitsu gym. So you can hope he's kind of training some takedowns there. It is heavyweight. This
Yeah,
could get
yeah.
real sloppy, real ugly. Don't get me wrong. But why not end with some be fun? Week 5, 15th prospect here. So what? So what if he comes in here, knocks out Guillermo Pat, knocks out Justin Tafa, and then goes 0-7 past that in the UFC?
They bring back Jared
He will,
Vandera for him to get subbed.
Jared Mandera, Chase Sherman, help me here, Gauntlet.
Ike Villanueva.
Ike Villanueva. What's um, no, Sam Alvey just won the heavyweight title
Goat.
for Freddie
Goat.
Combat. Bring him back, and then bring Rebellis back. We'll have them all fight Tony. All right, gentlemen, that is all 5 weeks. Real quick, and I'm gonna let some duplication here because I'm gonna say one that you guys have said, probably will say. First 5 weeks, number 1 prospect. Let's hear it. Googs, you go first this time.
Yeah, I'll continue the Glaze train. Gotta go Chanel Dyer, man. I think
Chanel Dyer,
she's
okay.
like the flyweight division, the women's flyweight division needs some fresh blood, and she's the one to do it.
Okay, Brendan?
I'm very biased here. Obviously, I got to go with Radley De Silva, hometown hero. The guy's such an exciting finisher, and the guy's just brutal. Rear naked choke, bloodied up opponent, spinning back heels, completely comatosing his opponent. How could you not be hyped about a prospect like that?
Well, I was going to be biased here because I'm also going Radley De Silva.
Yeah, there we go.
We'll have to have him back on after he wins and gets a UFC contract, or maybe he's too big for us at that point. But yeah, love him. It'll be a great first half of the season, gentlemen. I see a lot of prospects here, and more importantly, I think they learned their lesson. I think these are going to be pretty exciting fights. They had a few stinkers last season. I think some of the matchmaking they did here is good.
Very solid season. It looks like
They've really honed in on finishers over just like pure talent. And unfortunately, that's meant that a lot of these like top prospects, are getting passed on. But as fight fans, we're getting a lot more exciting finishers. I could rattle 5 or 6 guys that just haven't had the opportunity because they don't finish fights. That's really been the UFC's message.
I'm gonna steal a line from our other Brendan friend, and just a list of he just sent a list of flyweights that aren't signed: Fumi Nakuda, Mark Degley, Christian Natividad, Bill Hassan,
Tommy Morrison out of Canada.
Tommy Morrison. All these guys, maybe they hate flyweights, maybe they hate guys who are actually good at fighting. But you know what? We're gonna be here. We're gonna watch it, and I'm sure we'll see them in PFL, I don't know, somewhere. PFL is, that's a whole nother discussion. Mr. MMA Prospects, thanks so much for coming on. Mr. Canadian Brendan, good to have you here. Welcome to the program. And thank you for watching, for listening. Hope you learned something. If you just wanted to tune in to see guys get knocked out or submitted, that's fine too. But we'll see you next time for. Well, in a few weeks we'll do a second half of the season Contender Series episode. And yeah, see you next time.